So I just want to go ahead and answer a viewer question. I was going back and forth with Sci-Fi Ninja Theater. Thank you for leaving a comment on one of my videos. And we were talking about the Sony Z90, which is basically the same thing as the Sony NX80 with the SDI inputs added. And I think it also has a couple of other better video codecs as well, or at least one extra video codec that is better. But anyway, you were asking whether or not that was good for conventions. And yes, I think that camera is good for conventions, whether it's the NX80, the Z90, you know, they work well for conventions. But then I also mentioned to you that I was planning to sell both of the NX80 and the Canon XF400, which I also have done videos on. Please go ahead and check those out. But you were like, well, why are you selling both? Well, sorry, I've just been so busy I didn't really have time to respond, but now I have the time. So stay right there. You're going to want to see this. So anyway, so let's get into it. Just sorry, I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately just because it is peak season right here in New York where I am for weddings. And I've just been totally slammed, you know. But anyway, so why I'm selling the Sony NX80 and the Canon XF400. So like I just said, I do a lot of weddings. And I have taken both of those cameras with me this season to weddings. If I was going to lean on one, it would be the Canon because it has better image quality and better low light performance. But both of them have the 1-inch sensor, which is better than the half-inch sensors that come in most older camcorders, but it's still not enough. And the reason being for me, this is the main reason, is because when I'm shooting a subject, like just right now, like I'm shooting myself, sometimes, depending on how far back that background is, you're not going to be able to blur it at all. And even when you compose your shot nicely, I'm doing a wedding. Sometimes I want just a little shallow depth of field going on so that the background is a little blurry. It just makes it look aesthetically pleasing to my eye. And when you watch a lot of wedding films, modern day wedding films these days, you see that a lot. And I think the brides and the grooms are conditioned to that look. So when you're not providing it, I think you're probably going to lose a little business. I might be wrong, but, and to me, like I said, it just looks more cinematic. It just looks nicer to me. You don't want to always blur the background. I'm not always trying to blur the background for every single shot, but there are certain shots where I want to. And because they're so close to the background in that instant, I can't do it. And it just annoys me sometimes that I can't do it when I want to do it. And also, like I mentioned in the other video, even though I like the Canon, it's still not that fast to use. I just think, you know, you're trying to make a run and gun tool and they just didn't execute. There's just not enough buttons. You can't customize it the way you want to customize it. You got to jump into menus for a lot of different things. It just annoys me. It can't compare to the JVC LS300 that I normally use. It's just a way better camera than both of those cameras put together. It just blows them out the water. So that's the camera that I kind of went back to and just kept using that because I just feel like I get better shots when I need them because it's just faster. It's just faster to use and you could customize it in so many different ways. You could change the menu systems around and all this other stuff. It does a lot of things that their cameras just don't do. The Sony was definitely faster than the Canon to use when you're just trying to get to different things, white balance and all this other stuff. It's quicker. But then the Sony doesn't have the image quality that the Canon has. So the Canon is not as quick, but it has way better image quality. So then I naturally felt like taking the Canon to more weddings than the Sony because I want really good image quality when I'm shooting a wedding. The problem with the Canon though is one, the battery life isn't very good, so you're swapping batteries more frequently. And two, it's a little bigger than the Sony, and a little heavier as well. I mean, my JVC LS300 with the interchangeable lenses and all that is pretty darn heavy. And the Canon comes close, which, you know, is just kind of crazy for a smaller camera like that, but it's heavy. So when you're walking around all day, 9 hours a day with a camera in your hand, I don't want it to be heavy. You know, I want it to be light, for weddings, and I just feel like it's too heavy. I also feel like the JVC LS300 is too heavy. I'm thinking of replacing that as well because of the weight of it. It's just too much. It's too much for me now. Maybe I'm getting weaker as I get older, but I can't carry that stuff around anymore. I want lighter cameras. So, oh, and by the way, make sure you check my website, www.mediahammock.com/used, because I'm going to be selling a lot of the gear that you see on this channel that I test and use, but isn't really going to work right for my purposes. It's going to be on my website for a good price because it's used. So go ahead and shop and buy and put some money in my pocket and get those cameras off of my shelf and into a good home so that they can be used. So those are the reasons why I sold it. I mean, neither one is a bad camera. It just depends on what you're using it for. In your case, for the conventions, if it were me, and that's what I was shooting, because a lot of times with conventions, like I said, I think back and forth in the comments, in a convention, the ones that I've shot at and just been to, it's usually not really dark. You know, the lighting is adequate. The Sony can perform well in that situation, so you really don't even need the Canon. And like I said, the Sony to me is a little quicker to use. So I personally would buy the Sony. Plus, it's lighter. It's a little smaller, so it's easier to pack. I mean, that is definitely one of the problems with the Canon for me. A lot of times I'm shooting these weddings solo. I want things to be small, man. I want them to pack inside of my cases easily. And I just feel like with the Canon, that's not happening. It's not happening. So that's certainly why I'm getting rid of that one. Amongst all the other reasons that I mentioned. But like I said, with the Sony, it's just because, you know, the image quality is not as good, and, you know, when I need to blur backgrounds, certain situations, I just can't do it. And it's just frustrating. So there it is, man. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. If it was helpful to you or to anyone else, please like the video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this. That's going to help you out with video equipment and kind of show you some tests and everything else. And as always, I'm Mike Turner. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.